You can't mess me around. Now, remember the context I said to you is missed appointments. But you can't mess me around. And then Mr. Chaskalson finally, in that stream of communication, says, I will try to work out when we can fit you into the calendar. It will have to be next month. I will get back to you next week with possible dates. Now, nothing in this sequence of communication gives you or Mr. Mokgotsi any basis to say that which you have selectively read, Ms. Mahomane, I think so too, but you can't mess me around, means give me something and then I will protect you. There's absolutely no basis to present that part of the text in that way when you look at the context.
Commissioner, I'm inclined to agree with you thus far. Now, further to the response that you can't mess me around and I'll try to work out when we can fit you into the calendar. There's a response from Mr. Mokgotsi which says that how do I get involved and finish, which I wish I knew what to do exactly.
You say what about it?
We are underneath fit you into the calendar. It will have to be next month message.
Yes, I can see that. That is on page 39. So it's a continuation of what I had read at page 38,
yes,
right?
There's a message
okay.
that comes in at 12:43.
Yes. How do I get involved and finish? Wish I knew what to do exactly. Yes, what about it? That's Mr. Mokgotsi saying to Mr. Chaskalson, right? And in the way that it's presented on this page, it is a response to Mr. Chaskalson saying, I think so too, but you can't mess me around. And we have discussed that in context, it must have meant this. And then Mr. Mokgotsi says, how do I get involved and finish? Wish I knew what to do exactly. That's Mr. Mokgotsi. It's not Mr. Chaskalson. What are you saying about it?
I agree.
And I asked the question, keep in mind my conversation with you is about what do you say Mr. Chaskalson did wrong in this communication that is initiated by Mr. Mokgotsi to give information about Mr. Karim to Mr. Chaskalson. Here he offers, he again continues, Mr. Mokgotsi, to offer, how do I get involved and finish? Wish I knew what to do exactly. What do you say Mr. Chaskalson did wrong when you read this text? That creates a basis for the complaint and for fear of bias on his part.
Commissioner, with the last response, in the WhatsApp message, my submission would be the navigation of whatever it is that Mr. Chaskalson and Mr. Mokgotsi were doing was being steered by the direction of the evidence leader, if I may so put it.
Where do we see that?
He asks, Mr. Mokgotsi asks, he says that, how do I get involved and finish? I wish I knew exactly what to do.
Why do you say this text was steered by, and you have to give us facts, remember? You don't get to say whatever we want. You are making allegations of fact. So when you say this text, how do I get involved and finish? Wish I knew what to do exactly. When you say this was steered, to use your language, by Mr. Chaskalson, you have to refer us to the source of that steering.
Commissioner, paragraph 6.3 of the founding papers, page 12.
There's 6.3.
It's 6.3, Commissioner, it's page 12 of the bundle.
Yes.
Commissioner, Mr. Mokgotsi, may I just read this paragraph? On the 9th of March 2026 at 20:56, I attempted to call Advocate Charles Carlson SC, who returned my call. The call lasted approximately 3 minutes. During the call, he told me, "Get me anything against Suleiman and I will help you." He further stated that Suleiman had implicated me and that I should find a way to defend myself. He expressed his belief that Suleiman was lying, that Suleiman had thrown me under the bus, and that he wanted me to do the same to Suleiman.
And Mr. Chaskasin says what about it in his answering affidavit?
He denies the contents of this paragraph.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, Commissioner,
So there is a denial. Perhaps then that's when you get to address what do we do with that?
Hence, Commissioner, in response to that, I had said to the Commission that there's a factual dispute here wherein one party says, I did, and the other says, I did not. And then the other one says, you did this, and the other one denies. And the difficulty with that, as I had answered the chairperson, is nobody knows the contents of the phone calls and what was discussed between the evidence leader and Mr. Mokgotsi.
Thank you, Ms. Mohammed.
He says, Commissioner, the evidence leader says that he's got no detailed recollection of what was discussed in the call on the 9th of March.
Right, I've heard you.
Ms. Mohammed, only 2 issues from me. Good morning.
Morning, Commissioner.
The transcript of 10 March 2026, when Mr. Karim was here giving evidence on page 159 and 160.
On which page, Commissioner?
159 and 160. You'll see on page 159, line 22. Because if you recall, Mr. Karim's evidence was public. He was sitting here with us. Mr. Chaskalson says, now, did Brown ever meet with you and Mr. Maumela? Mr. Karim says no. Mr. Chaskalson continues, you say no, because after your evidence yesterday, Mr. Mokgotsi called us up and said he had in fact met with you and Mr. Maumela shortly after this tender. You have no recollection of that. And it continues. And the point I'm making here is it was not hidden that Mr. Mokgotsi had approached the evidence leaders and had given them evidence relating to his interactions with Mr. Karim, which is what that was all about. So if that is what has happened, how does that create a perception of substantive unfairness that should result in the evidence leader being disqualified from leading further evidence? Because there's no suggestion anywhere that what the evidence leader sought was false information from Mr. Mokgotsi. If Mr. Mokgotsi has information, which is the truth, and can be verified and corroborated through other means, what is wrong with evidence leaders asking Mr. Mokgotsi to provide that information so that it can be put to Mr. Karim? I would understand if you were saying in your application, evidence leaders asked Mr. Mokgotsi to provide false information. And I emphasize false information because that would be problematic to me, But if in their engagements they said, give me what you have on the issues we are dealing with, so that I can put that to Mr. Karim, and he'll have the opportunity in a public hearing to respond to that. What is wrong with that? And how does all of that rise to the level of substantive unfairness that should result in an evidence leader being disqualified?
Commissioner, as I had previously responded, if that aspect is taken in isolation, and the only issue is that Mr. Mokgotsi approached the evidence leader, then it's the correct position. There is no basis to have the evidence leader recused, specifically with regards to Mr. Mokgotsi. Now, if, as the events unfold and the conversations and the interactions, Mr. Mokgotsi starts feeling that in the absence or the failure to provide or to throw Karim Suleiman under the bus doesn't work out, then he's got a problem moving forward. And that is where the inclination of biasness comes in. When he approached the evidence leader, it was done bona fide in the hope that he has information that can assist the evidence leader.
And if that information has the effect of throwing Mr. Karim under the bus, if that information is true, what is wrong with that?
Commissioner, there is nothing wrong with that, hence the establishment of the commission.
Because it is Mr. Mokgotsi who says, the very first text, he says, this guy is trying to take me down on page 35. It is Mokgotsi who's saying that. So if he has information that has the same effect towards Mr. Karim, but that information is true or can be corroborated in other means, and he's not being asked to lie to the commission or give false information, what is wrong with that? Because I can tell you in this commission, almost every every witness who comes here implicates other people. So if Mr. Mokgotsi has information that implicates Mr. Karim, and that has the effect of throwing Mr. Karim under the bus, what is wrong with that? Because that's what witnesses do in this commission. They give information, and if it is helpful to the commission, it must be put to Mr. Karim so that he's given the opportunity to dispute it. So I don't understand how that can result in substantive unfairness, which should disqualify an evidence leader. And if you respond to that, that's all I had to raise with you.
There is nothing, Commissioner, untoward about soliciting information that can assist the commission. And so to put it, even go as far as throwing Mr. Karim under the bus. The core or the challenge here is Mr. Mokgotsi alleges that he was promised. He says, I'm promised protection, I'm promised indemnity, and if I do it, I might just get out of this unscathed. There's a promise.
It's commissioners who decide what happens to Mr. Mokgotsi and other people who are implicated. It is not the people who lead evidence. Their job is to present the evidence to the commissioners, and the commissioners decide what happens to all the people who are implicated. It's not the other way around. Thank you, Chair.
I'll agree with you, Commissioner. That is indeed the hierarchy of powers and decision making. But there's an influence of some sort. It's undue influence to say, help me, then I can do this for you.
Moment.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Can we just be clear? And because this is very important, and I think I must insist that you refer us to the record. In your exchange with when I say record, I mean the papers. In your exchange with Commissioner Khumalo, you say Mr. Mkhotsi says, if I do this, I may come out of the commission unscathed. That's a promise. Can you point us in the papers where Mr. Chaskalson says that? Because that's quite a serious allegation that is being made. And if it is not in the papers that you have put before us in your application, I'm going to ask that you withdraw that allegation because it's quite a damaging allegation. Where do we find in the exchanges between them where Mr. Chaskalson says to Mr. Mkhotsi, if you give me information about Mr. Karim, I will make sure, I promise you, that I'll help you to come out of the commission unscathed. Where do we find that?
I think the best you can do is 6.5 on page 13. Also 6.16 on page 16, but it says the same thing as 6.5.
I was looking at 619.
Yes.
I see the 6.5 that Commissioner is referring
So it's
to.
6.5 where he says, I was left with a distinct impression that my protection from adverse findings by the Commission was being made conditional upon my willingness to provide information and documentation.
So my question is, point us to the exchanges between Mr. Chaskalson and Mr. Mkhotsi, where that promise is recorded. I don't want to be referred to Mr. Mkhotsi's impressions. And I want you to say, if it's not in the exchanges, if it's not recorded in the exchanges, I would like you to at least admit that for the record, that nothing in the exchanges between them that are placed before us by Mr. Mkhotsi records that.
Commissioner, I'll respond by saying that with the WhatsApp messages and the phone calls that have been put as annexures, there's nothing in that communication that brings that sort of message across. Now, it's information that comes from Mr. Mkhotsi, and it is then where he says in the affidavit that I can get out of the commission, I can be protected, and in a nutshell, I'll submit that it's some form of immunity. That's how he understands it. But further thereto, there's nothing in the communication that has been put forth that depicts that.
So just to be clear, you accept that there is no evidence before us, and Mr. Mkhotsi doesn't say Mr. Chaskalson promised me that if I give him information on Mr. Karim, he will ensure that I come out of the commission unscathed. Nowhere in the WhatsApp messages, Mr. Mkhotsi doesn't say in any of our calls that was said, and he doesn't allege that in the affidavit. He simply says, I got the impression. I got the impression. That's what you're saying. So yes, where you earlier said a promise was made to him, that was not correct to say.
That is not the, I'll retract that and I'll say an impression. According to the affidavit of Mr. Mkhotsi, an impression was created. Yes.
My difficulty with you when I started engaging, why I engaged you on this, is you said a promise was made to him.
I'll retract the use of the word promise, Commissioner.
No, you're not retracting the use of the word promise. You are retracting a statement that says Mr. Chaskalson made a promise to Mr. Mokgotsi because we don't have evidence of that promise. That is what I'm saying should be retracted. You can still say, Mr. Mokgotsi says he gained the impression from their communication that that is what was being offered to him. I don't quarrel with it being an impression that he formed. The question is whether that was a reasonable impression based on the facts that are before us. The one that I needed clarity on is where you make the positive statement that he was made a promise that he would be protected from adverse findings if he gives dead or incriminating evidence on Mr. Karim. That's all I wanted you to.
Commissioner, I'll retract the statement that I made earlier on.
Thank you. I think that's a fair resolution to my concern.
Just one very brief matter. There appears to be a suggestion of something negative about the statement relating to throwing under the bus. Did I understand that correctly? If I did, can you again just articulate that?
Is the chair asking
The
my
issue
personal
about-
understanding of throw under the bus?
No. What exactly are the allegations and what is the point being made in that regard? My sense may have been wrong. My sense was that there is a suggestion that there's something negative or sinister around that issue, the issue of throwing under the bus.
Chair, it would be defend yourself at whatever cost, if I may put it in a nutshell. Chair, it says, paragraph 6.3 says that it will be on page 12 of the bundle, Chair.
Yes.
And I'll leave the first 3 lines because I believe that we had gone to this paragraph on numerous occasions, and I'll go straight to the point. Mr. Mokgotsi says that the evidence leader says that get me anything against Suleiman and I will help you. He further stated that Suleiman had implicated me and that I should find a way to defend myself. He expressed his belief that Suleiman was lying, that Suleiman had thrown me under the bus, and that he wanted me to do the same to Suleiman.
I will not engage you on get me anything against Suleiman, and I will help you because my colleague Commissioner Baloyi has already engaged you on that. I just want to take you to page 253 of the record. That comes after the affidavit of of Tsepo Modimokhale. Yeah. Page 253.
I've arrived there, Chair.
Yes. Now, this is, you'll see the text by the chief evidence leader. It's written to the 2 investigators that I referred to earlier.
Yes, Chair.
And the chief investigator greets them and then says, Mokgotsi has been calling me non-stop. That again emphasizes the point I made with you, that the person who was really seeking out the other was Mr. Mokgotsi and not the other way around. Mokgotsi has been calling me non-stop since Karim started giving evidence and threw him under the bus. So the chief evidence leader has no qualms about saying that. That's his assessment of the evidence. What we will make of it is something else, of course, but that's his assessment of the evidence. And no qualms at all about saying this. He wants to give us dirt on Karim and ostensibly wants to tell us what he knows about Matlala's contract. I've arranged to see him tomorrow at 10. If you are available, please join me. All innocent, so far as I read this. And of course, the 10 o'clock meeting is a meeting that did not materialize. Mr. Mokhodzi did not show up. And after contact was revived, an arrangement was again made, as Commissioner Baloyi said, for a meeting at 2 p.m. of the same day. That too did not materialize. Nothing negative at all in any of these. You may comment if you want to.
Chair, my comment will be, I concede with what the chairman says. If this text is read in isolation, then, Chair, there is nothing untoward.
I will not go back there because, again, Commissioner Baloyi engaged you on what more do you want us to look at, and I'm not sure that I heard what you were saying in response to that question by Commissioner Baloyi. So the same applies here as well. Your point about in isolation, but what's the additional material that you have in mind? I'm not asking for a response. The question was asked and was responded to. I'll leave it at that. And as I said, I had personally reached a point after engaging you for a longish time to hear you out. That is, to give you an opportunity to argue your case. Of course, it doesn't mean that we will not ask you questions here and there, but we want to let you feel free to argue your case. I see that the time is 4 minutes to 11. Yeah. Let's continue until 11 o'clock.
Chair, I do not have a response. I'm uncertain if there's anything
No, I'm not asking for a response to any question now. I want you to argue your case. We engaged you right from the start and did not really give you an opportunity to freely argue your case. I'm now giving you an opportunity to freely argue your case. Am I making sense?
You are making sense, Chair.
Unless you are saying through our engagement you've dealt with all the points that you wanted to deal with and that you have no further submissions to make. I'm not steering you in that direction, no.
Chair, I'm going to request that we take an adjournment. I'm informed that client is here so that we can obtain further instructions with what has transpired. I'm uncertain how much time the commissioners would like to give us.
All right. Well, of course, in an application brought on affidavit, I'm not sure what a litigant may tell you as to what happened or did not happen, because we go by what's contained in the affidavits. But we'll adjourn, and you can take whatever instructions you want to. Let's adjourn and return at 11:25.